everyone's looking for the young guy. They're looking for McVay. I think take a shot out. Todd Bowles, get him a second shot at head coach and see if he can do it.
I don't think they will. If they don't have Anthony Davis, I'm saying it right now. If Anthony Davis is out for the playoffs, they don't make it out of the first round.
It's crazy. And our kids will know how great Tom Brady is because he's going to be playing.
Yes, it is 15.0%.
That's what the Yankees brought Garrett Cole to do.
He was a 6th-round pick. This is a fairy tale story that's being written in front of our eyes.
People like to call them their JV team, and they just stole one of their better players.
They didn't struggle against the Padres. The Padres didn't really put up a fight in most of the games.
Jerry Jones, hope you're listening.
Hi, I'm Landon Bowe, and you're listening to Outsiders Opinions with Kevin and Austin.
It says now recording.
Hello.
All right. Recording in 3, 2. What's up, y'all? Welcome to our NFL Opinions of the Week. I'm Kevin. I'm joined by the man that I know is sad, but also it kind of was not a great wild card weekend. Austin.
Yeah, not many competitive games. Many teams either didn't show up or did not have their best games, and for some teams, both. I was really kind of confused by a lot of it, but I'm not necessarily surprised that some of the teams won. I think I got 2 games wrong, one on each side. How many games did you get wrong? Do you remember?
So I think you I know you and I disagreed on Commanders.
I had the Commanders winning.
Yeah. You had the Commanders winning. I had the Bucks. You had Texans winning. Yeah, so I got those two wrong.
The ones I got wrong, I had the Vikings winning and the Rams won, and I had the Steelers winning and the Ravens won. Those are the two I got wrong.
Yeah, I got the Ravens right. So I guess I went 2 for 3.
3 for 3. There's 6 games.
Okay, because I got Ravens,
Bills,
and then Bills, yeah, and then Eagles, and I got those other 3.
Yeah,
so,
and I had the Eagles, I had the Commanders, I had the Bills, and I had the Texans. So yeah, I went 4-2.
Okay, you went 4-2. Okay, you have the lead. Yeah, I want to talk about the Texans one. I do think. Are you on X or Twitter anymore?
I technically yes, but also I try to stay off of it as much as possible. But I am on it. Yes.
Did you? I got to get off it too. That's the right move, especially with just like sports. There was so much Herbert hate. Like Herbert didn't have a great game, but then they're talking about like Herbert's never been good. I'm like, geez, and the Texans defense was incredible. That's something I was beating myself up on. I was like, dang, I should have went with defense because I talked about their pass rush. And I'm like, I should have just gone defense because defense shows up in big games. And I kind of went offense because I didn't trust the Texans offense, which did okay, but it was mostly their defense forcing 4 interceptions over Herbert, who only had 3 interceptions this entire season.
Yeah, I mean, that's a big storyline. The Chargers couldn't get the run game going afterwards because they had to pass the ball so much because they threw all the pick sixes, and it just turned out a little bit worse than they would have hoped. And I still believe in Herbert. I'm sure you do as well. The hate, I didn't really see the hate because I wasn't really looking on the website for it or on the app for it, but I'm not surprised that it was out there.
Yeah, and I still believe in him. And I do think he doesn't have real weapons. You have Ladd McConkey, and then they drafted Quentin Johnson, who I think was the GM before this GM, and he just can't hold on to the ball. So I'm curious what weapons they give him. And he does need to play better, but it was also a great play from the Texans. And so that was another thing. And then I'll kind of give the same to Jordan Love. Like, he's been incredible this season. And I know he had 3 interceptions, but it's kind of great defense as well.
I don't really count. I mean, the last one I thought it was kind of a PI, and also it's kind of also a.
Oh yeah, that one doesn't.
That one doesn't. Yeah, it was a. You want to see more. You want to see a better performance. 100%. I totally understand that. But I'm not necessarily discouraged for next season. there was a lot of injuries regarding this team, and I definitely want us to play better. And I'm interested to see who we sign. I thought our defense was fine. They kept us in the game. I'm excited for what's going to happen next year. I just don't know necessarily what's going to look like, but I think a lot of before games start, I feel like a lot of players or teams are hated against, and then fans of the hate or the ones who are hating only come out after they're right, if you know what I mean. Like they've always disliked Jordan Love, always disliked Herbert, and then when he does bad, when they prove themselves right, that's when they jump on the train. Instead of saying beforehand, "Oh, Jordan Love is going to play terrible," they wait until he does to say something.
Yeah, like this could have been a great moment for me to dance over the Jordan Love, but I do think he is a top 10 quarterback. And this is my question to you. Who do you think right now, teams remaining in the playoffs, what are the top 5 defenses? You don't have to rank 5, just like best defenses right now.
Chiefs, I think, is an obvious pick. I'd say Ravens. I'd say Texans. I'd go. After that, kind of gets close because I don't think the Eagles' defense is that great. I think they have flaws.
I think every defense has flaws, but I kind of brought up that because I do think Chiefs, Ravens are good, Texans as well. I think Eagles are up there too, especially with that defensive line of Jalen Carter. And
Yeah, but if you go against a good old line like the Lions, their secondary I don't think is good enough to stop Amon or to stop Jameson Williams or to stop guys like that. Now, obviously, we have to get to that point first, but I mean, I don't think there's an elite defense in the NFC left because of how many injuries the Lions have gone through. The Commanders have good players, but they also have bad players. The Rams, their secondary can sometimes be the worst secondary in the NFL. And then you have the Eagles, who I just said, I mean, they have a great D line, but I don't really love their secondary. Their linebackers are fine. It seems like the AFC right now has the better defenses. And while the Bills don't have the greatest defense in the world, I still probably would put them top 5 because of the other teams in the NFC. Because there's only 8 teams left.
Yeah, I agree with the Lions because they are just so decimated by injuries, and I'm very intrigued to see what happens against the Commanders. But it almost with the Lions, the mentality is just like they don't care. They really do. As much as it was funny to see that press conference when it first happened with Dan Campbell, we're gonna bite a kneecap on our way down. We're gonna bite one on the way up. The Lions to me exemplify that. Like they personify that. Just saying. And the Commanders' defense, you talk about them. To me, it's their run game. It's something that I have harped on with Dan Quinn, and that's just the way his teams are built. And they do have some great defensive tackles, but I know we're getting ahead to divisional round. But I'm curious, what does he do? And the Commanders played well. Jaden Daniels played well. The Buccaneers came so close to stopping, even after the Baker Mayfield fumble, and I kind of view that on him of just I think it was a fake, and he just mistimed it, and then the ball came out, and then Bobby Wagner recovered it. So they almost had him at the end in that I want to say it was a 4th down where the 94 on the Bucks could have grabbed Jaden Daniels, and then they cut it close with the kicker. I was curious. Have you seen the before? I know you probably, of course, saw the hair, and you, of course, are someone with longer hair, so it makes sense to push back your hair. But the kicker, I was like, dude, what are you doing? Or I knew what he was doing, but I was curious what you thought about that.
I understand superstitions, and if that's something you need to do before you do something I mean, it's one of the most pressure things in sports. So I understand it. I do.
Yeah, I understand it too, and it went in. To me, it just kind of showed he was nervous because he's just trying to fix something that his hair wasn't moving. And then have you seen the clips before where he was working on his socks?
Yeah.
So for people, he would put on a sock, then take it off because he doesn't want the crinkle, which makes sense as a kicker, but it would just kind of go. He was very focused, and so yeah, that was the best game by far. It was really entertaining. the Commanders Bucks, but I'm trying to think. The Ravens. I do kind of want to take a victory lap on Lamar Jackson because he was a guy on the market, and we kind of had discussions of like, I'm like every team should be calling, and then of course you have Derrick Henry. I expected them to win, but I didn't expect that fashion. Like they just scored touchdowns, which I told you in the predictions. I was like, it's going to be a field goal game, and I was completely wrong.
Yeah, he played well, but I think while I did have them losing, the real test is going to be this next game against Josh Allen. And I think it's both QBs have a lot to prove. And the loser of this game, we talked about hate for the other guys, right? This is going to be the one that we really see venom spit between fan bases, between just QB fan bases, because these are the two MVP favorites for a lot of people. And them going head to head, the loser will be, to put it kindly, destroyed on Twitter.
Yeah, I'm really excited for that game. And I did want to talk about the Steelers. Kind of same thing with Herbert. There's a lot of discussion about Mike Tomlin. I think it would be an absolute mistake to get rid of Mike Tomlin from the Steelers' perspective.
I agree as well.
Like you just look at the roster and people are trying to say, well, he can choose. It's just how good they are. And I do think they need to figure out the quarterback. Russell Wilson wasn't bad, but that's been the main problem was their offense. Their defense, of course, gave some touchdowns, but it's just the offense to me couldn't get them going. But yeah, I'm super excited for the Bills Ravens game. And there, I was talking to someone, and it was just like, I'm really rooting for Lamar Jackson because kind of like if he loses and if he doesn't play well, even if he does play well, it's going to be he can't win in the big moments when he's also competing about Josh Allen. Same thing for Josh Allen, as you were saying. So I am very interested to see what happens. And I want to go to the Chiefs game because we talked about this of they just didn't stick with their identity with the Ravens when the Ravens didn't stick to their identity against the Chiefs because are they going to actually run the ball? Because that's their strength. And they can do fine passing, but to me, it's really that combo of Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry. Will Todd Monken, when the pressure's tight, do that?
Or even when they're down, hey, we're down a touchdown. Let's not go away from what got us here, got this far in the season, what's been our staple for the last however long Lamar's been there. They've been one of the best rushing teams in NFL history every year with Lamar. And with Derrick Henry now, you have, I mean, I would, even though I think a lot of people think Saquon's better, if someone were to tell me Derrick Henry's better, I wouldn't scoff. I wouldn't call them dumb by any term. So I think you have a top 3 back and a top 5 QB. It's going to come down to whether or not you stay true to who you are. Because if they decide we're going to pass the ball every play, they're going to lose to the Bills.
Yeah, and Lamar Jackson's going to lay his body because we saw that against the Steelers. Same thing with Josh Allen. But yeah, I think that's what happened in the Chiefs game. They even if they get maybe 2 touchdowns, still stick to your game plan because we saw with Derrick Henry, he can take it deep, one play, and he's just fantastic. I also am really I hope they do that formation again where Derrick Henry's under center and then you have Lamar Jackson out wide and maybe doing a motion. That to me was really exciting. I'm like, this could go a different way, go amazing. But yeah, that's going to be key with the Bills because they have a good pass rush and like Matt Milano. I know they were saying Bo Nix was fast, but there was that scramble and Matt Milano came up to it. But I'm curious if Zay Flowers is going to be available for that game. And then on the other side, you also have Chiefs Texans, and I'm curious how do the Chiefs handle that pass rush from the Texans because you also have Derek Stingley and who's the other corner for the Texans?
Such as oh man. I know who it is, and I can't think of his name.
Okay. Do you want to take a guess or?
Does it start with a C?
That's a linebacker. Huh. This is not who I thought.
Wait. Oh, what's his name? He's a rookie. correct?
No, it's okay. ESPN's shown me something different because when I look at left cornerback, of course, is there it's Stingley, and I'll just say this: so right cornerback says Jeff Okuda, but there is a Chris Boyd listed under Derek Stingley.
That's not who I think I'm.
Are you thinking of
Oh,
Kalen Bullock?
it's Kamari Lassiter. It's Kamari Lassiter.
Oh,
It has him here listed as a nickelback, but he really plays corner.
okay, yeah, that's okay. Yeah, so that's also curious. The Chiefs' offense, I think, is their weakness, but that's what's scary to me is because you have the offensive mind of Andy Reid. So it's going to be a fun game for me. And I do think it's going to be closer because this was the Christmas Day game. No. Chiefs and Texans played each other.
It was on Christmas. Oh no.
No, that was the Steelers.
It was the net. It was the net. No, it was the week before.
Oh,
Nope.
yes, it was the Saturday. Oh,
Yeah.
it's the Tank Dell injury.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we, of course, have seen how the Chiefs or how the Texans have dealt with the Tank Dell injury. I think their offense is okay, but to me, the Chiefs Texans game is really going to be defensive.
100%. And the Chiefs obviously have a lot more experience, but this was a matchup last year, so there'll be bad blood. There's obviously, like you said, a Tank Dell injury this year, so there's a lot for both these teams to fight for, and I'm definitely excited for it.
Yeah, so we've talked about the AFC and kind of bounced from the NFC. I thought it was really cool, the Rams one, even though it was pulling for the Vikings a little bit. Just kind of given everything that's happened with LA, it's cool that the Rams won that. But was surprised it happened in that fashion.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. It was a little bit surprising how it ended up turning out, but I'm interested to see how the Rams end up playing against the Eagles. It'll be an interesting matchup. Very good running backs in that game, while both of the passing offenses have had their good parts of the season and bad parts. So we'll see what version of each we get.
Yeah, and it's kind of the version of the quarterback. Stafford did get lucky. I didn't see it live, but I saw the replay of that fumble. They ruled an incomplete pass.
Yeah.
So that's he did throw it, but to me, I'm like that's a fumble. But I am also curious on the Vikings. What does their future look like? It was Sam Darnold. Oh, how can you let go of Sam Darnold? Then the last two games happened where he didn't play his best. The offense struggled. And I'm very curious to see because you also have JJ McCarthy. We talked about developing QBs. He did mandatorily sit out a year because of his injury. So I'm curious. That's a huge thing. I do think there's a market for Darnold, but not huge extension like starting quarterback money. I don't see that happening for him after the past two games.
So you don't think he gets a starting quarterback?
I think he gets a starting quarterback job, but kind of looking at the contract because it was almost heading toward like, hey, he can get like top 10 money because just a starting quarterback doesn't really hit the market. We saw what Kirk Cousins got off an injury, so I do think he gets $100 million, but I'm curious who like Kirk Cousins off the injury was 180. I think I saw someone say 160, but when you look at the top 10 quarterbacks, it's always been because you had the Joe Burrow contract where he wasn't going to get like the Joe Burrow Dak Prescott money, but it's the Jalen Hurts. I think could have been those deals where it's just like he's the next starting quarterback on the market. I'm going to get starting quarterback money and top tier starting quarterback money. I do think it's more kind of close to what Geno Smith got. Because I think Geno Smith got 75 million. That was the total value. As I look at this. So I do think he gets a starting quarterback job, but I'm not sure if it's with the Vikings. And I don't think he's going to get that massive payday we were thinking he was going to get before these two games.
Yeah, we'll see. I definitely think he still could. it'll be determined on what team wants him and what they're willing to give him. But it was definitely a great season for him, and we'll have to see where he ends up. I'm interested to see how the Lions end up playing defensively. Jaden Daniels is not someone easy to defend. So, and with all the injuries they've had, now the Commanders' defense isn't the greatest, but they do have some experience not only with Dan Quinn but also with Bobby Wagner, Marshawn Lattimore, some other guys on their defense. So, I think it's going to be a good divisional round, and I'm excited to see who comes out.
Yeah, I'm hoping it lives up to what we're doing. The Vikings thing, and I kind of said it earlier, is or no, not Vikings. I mean Lions, Commanders. I really think the Lions are just going to run the ball, and I'm very curious to see how the Commanders do that. Because to me, Dan Quinn, the Packers just ran the ball and destroyed the Cowboys, and then of course there were offensive problems as well. So, also David Montgomery, I think's back.
Yes, I did see that. I think he is.
That's insane. Yeah,
It is.
David Montgomery and Terrion Arnold are full goes from Detroit Free Press 6 hours ago as we are recording. So that's even better for the run game. You have Jahmyr Gibbs, who was incredible against the Vikings last game the Lions played, but you also have David Montgomery giving him rest. So to me, that's going to be the key thing. And can the Commanders score against Viking or a Lions defense that is struggling with injuries? But I do think Aaron Glenn has a good scheme, so I'm interested to see what happens. So yeah, I think it should be fun. I'll let you close this one out.
Yeah, thank you guys for listening, and please let us know what you guys predict for the divisional round.